Hey, what's going on? It's Joe, and I wanted to do a video on airline miles and points. I'm kind of a nerd. I love my airline miles. I've been as detailed back in the day as I live in San Diego, getting on a plane and flying to Dallas. I think I did that 3 times and hung out at the Hyatt, learning all about miles and points from all the YouTube and blog experts in the world. I have been there. I did all the little detailed stuff. I had hundreds of thousands of miles here, there. I was in every program. I was in United, I was in One World, and I'm in Alaska, I'm in all of them. I'm in British Airways, Qantas. You don't have to do that. You don't have to make it so complicated. You can keep it simple. So this is just going to be the basics. I'm not an expert on any of this. I'm just a mailman who, I have traveled around the world. I don't know how many countries I've been to, 50, 60, whatever. I haven't counted them, but I did a lot of those trips in business class or first class in fantastic airlines, the best service in the world, and I can't afford to pay $10,000 or more round trip for a lot of these tickets, but I can afford to, spend $200-300 here, there, or sometimes less, and take those miles and points and get those tickets. So these are the basics. I am going to be upfront that credit cards are going to be the fastest and oftentimes the only way to do this. So if you're going to be like a lot of my buddies at work, hold on, my throat is dry. There you go. I'm just kicking back on the boat. It's a beautiful Sunday afternoon and almost Christmas time here in San Diego, and it's 80 degrees. It's nice. You might hear the planes taking off in the distance. I'm right across the street from San Diego's Lindbergh Field. If you're interested, any other plane nerds out there, I have another YouTube channel called On the Runway, where I just hang out on a parking garage and have the planes just come roaring right over me. Again, I'm a plane nerd. On the Runway, check it out. Let's keep it simple. You don't have to be one of these knuckleheads, hold on, in my pen, like me, who's gonna be in every miles and points. Decide what works for you. Where do you live? I'm here in San Diego. Alaska, great airline program, great choice. If you're in Dallas, Texas, American Airlines, One World, that's going to be your home airport. If you live anywhere near Atlanta, you're going to be a Delta person. So whatever is most convenient for you, that's how it works. Now, where a lot of people get confused, including my friends, so I'll assume other people out there, is you don't have to use your American Airline miles on just American. American is One World, a part of One World. So is it Qantas, Japan Airlines, Cathay Pacific, 14 others. You can fly anywhere in the world with American miles, and they're One World partners. Same with United, their Star Alliance. They have a host of partners. Same with Delta. You can go use your Delta miles on Air France, and on and on and on. So pick your team. We'll keep it simple. We'll go Alaska. Hey, I'm in Southern California. I'm in an Alaska mileage program. How are we going to get these miles? Back in the day, you used to get them, how these programs started, by being a loyal traveler on the plane. You flew from San Diego to Seattle, I don't know, what was that, 1,000 miles? Round trip, they handed you in your program 2,000 Alaska miles. All that's kind of changed. Now, these miles, you accrue kind of based on, again, everything is different, so don't quote me, don't yell at me in the comments, because every program is different. It's trying to explain, one car, all cars are different. So all mileage programs are different. Trust me, this is not easy. You have to pick your program, and then you're going to have to read hours about that program on a website called Flyer Talk. Be careful. There's a lot of nerds on Flyer Talk. Think of it like entering a Dungeons and Dragons community. And if you start asking some kind of basic question, you're going to get attacked by all the Dragon Masters or whatever they call those guys. There's normal people there too. But for the most part, at the top of each page in Flyer Talk is a wiki, and it explains the basics. Like, you're Alaska, go to Flyer Talk. Read the wiki, read it 10 times, and it'll explain all the minutia of the program. It'll hit all the high points, and then there'll be thousands of posts on, well, what about this at Alaska? What about that? Little crazy questions. And different people will say, well, this is what happened to me, or this is what happened to me. You have to be careful. You can't really just read the latest stuff. I wouldn't go back farther than 5 or 10 pages, because these programs change like night and day, sometimes overnight. When I just explained how you earn those miles based on the price of the ticket, well, 2 days ago, I believe, Delta just dropped the bombshell and said you're going to earn 0 miles by flying basic economy. And again, I could be wrong on that, but that's the headlines I kept getting in my nerdy miles and points, blogs was, can you believe that? You might fly from Atlanta to New York City round trip and earn 0 points. Well, yeah, I kind of get it. If you paid $139 round trip, Delta's saying, we're not giving you any miles for that. So everything changes. The Alaska program. I don't want to speak out of turn, but I don't think I've ever used Alaska points, maybe from San Diego to Cabo on an Alaska plane, but I've had hundreds and hundreds of thousands of Alaska miles over the years, and I've used them on all of their partners, on Qantas, on Cathay Pacific, on Japan Airlines, because they just have such outstanding relationships with their partners that you can fly. I think today is almost Christmas 2021. Now, again, here's a problem. You could fly Cathay Pacific in business class from LA to Hong Kong one way for 50,000 points. That's amazing. That is probably it could be a $4,000 ticket as much one way. It's expensive. Again, I can't quote the price of tickets. Let's just put it this way. If you want to do that same flight on using American miles, same plane, sitting next to a guy who used Alaska points, you're going to pay 70,000 points. You might think 20,000 points is no big deal, but it's a very big deal, especially if you're 20,000 points short and you have to purchase those points. And sometimes that's worth it. I've did it often. I've put together an itinerary and I'm like, dang, I'm 3,000 points short. And they're more than happy for $29, oftentimes a thousand segment, to sell you. So, $90. Who wants to pay $90 for 3,000 lousy points? Other things you have to be careful of is, let's say you're an American Airlines person. One of their partners, and the only reason I bring it up is I just saw it land, British Airways flight just resumed. Beautiful 787 Dreamliner from London, nonstop San Diego. But what the problem is, if you scrimp and save and get your airline miles and you want to take off San Diego to London, well, London's decided we're going to impose a fuel surcharge if you land here in London, and it's high on a business class ticket. I want to say it's $500 or $600. So that paying $1,100 round trip after you've gave them 140,000 points, that's a deal breaker for me, because sometimes you can find that flight for $2,500 round trip. Again, I'm generalizing. Don't yell at me and say you just looked it up and it's $6,000 round trip. I get it. Every flight is different. Every price is different. But I'm flexible. I go with, okay, there's a really good deal taking off on Tuesday and coming back the following Thursday, 14 days later. And that's what I do. If you're one of these folks that I have to leave after work from 3 to 7 p.m., well, you're going to pay top dollar. You're going to pay top points. You have to be flexible. You're not going to fly round trip to Sydney, Australia, to be there for New Year's Eve. You're not going to book that ticket right now on December 11th. You're not. You might for next year, and even then, you have to understand how each airline, and Flyer Talk will explain this. The nerds will know. No, midnight Eastern time, Sydney, Australia time is when they release the new awards, 310 days and 5 hours, out. And these guys are hitting refresh on their computer, 310, I'm making up the numbers, but you get what I'm saying, 300 days from now, refresh. There it is, I got it. I've never booked anything 300 days ahead of time, but that's how you can kind of give yourself the greatest shot. You want to find a Cathay award on Alaska Airlines? Well, guess what? Alaska doesn't show Cathay awards when you look online. Sometimes there's get-arounds. Now, if you're an Alaska employee, don't be leaving a comment. I get it. Every time I bring it up, they seem to get really irritated. But what you do is, I don't mean that. One lady got irritated at me, and I think she was irritated at the world. But what you would do is go to, I believe it was Qantas. I have it all written down. You'd go to Qantas and check availability on Cathay. If you found it in, say, business class, you'd then call Alaska and say, oh, I want to go on the 17th of June. And they'd go, hey, remarkable, there it is. And just don't make the mistake I did and said, yeah, I found it at Qantas. Oh, well, that doesn't always match up. I hate when people go to Qantas and check for Alaska availability. It matches up 99% of the time. So use the tricks that are available. Patience is the name of the game with these miles and points. What's the payoff? I am flying 3 weeks. I'm flying on Japan Airlines in business class I'm flying from San Diego to Seattle, Seattle to Narita in Tokyo, Narita to Bangkok, Thailand. Lie flat bed on the other 2 flights. The flight from, again, you can get nerdy, and I could fly from San Diego. It was available. I could fly San Diego to Narita, Narita to Bangkok. But here's how much of a plane nerd I am. That Dreamliner flying out of San Diego is an angle flatbed. It's kind of like a big lazy boy chair, which is nice. It's a beautiful product, but I'm flying to Seattle to get a bed. So again, you can be as nerdy in this as you want, as detailed as you want, like I am, because I know I know the difference. I know the bed and I know the lazy boy chair, and I'd rather have the bed on a 22-hour journey or whatever this is going to cost. Okay, so how do we even earn these points? If we can't get them flying, how are we going to do it? And it's credit cards. A lot of people, including my friends, are going to say, you're an idiot. Who would spend $99 a year for a credit card? I'm going to leave that up to you. As far as, I just got an Alaska card, so I'll talk about that. Alaska card is issued through Bank of America. The Alaska credit card is not ran by Alaska Airlines. Don't call Alaska Airlines and ask them questions about your credit card. They're going to say, call this number, and guess what? It's Bank of America, their partner in the credit card. There's a little known secret that I'm not presuming to know if it's true or not, but I've heard it 2 or 3 times at different conventions, and these guys know the industry inside and out. They have said over the years that many of the airlines actually make more money selling miles to the credit card companies than they do selling tickets to the public. And it kind of makes sense to me, because your different credit cards, the Alaska card is through Bank of America. There's a business card, a personal card, and don't be afraid to kind of push the limits on that business card. If you have a smallish business, oftentimes, and they have in my case, hey, this YouTube business is costing me thousands of dollars. Cameras, this, that, whatever. I got a YouTube business. Well, here you go. Here's your business card. So you can get a personal card with 50,000 points, business card with 50,000 points. You got to put $2,000 on each card. For $4,000 of spend, you get 100,000 Alaska miles. Geez, 100,000 Alaska miles. You can fly round trip in business class to a lot of places around the world, and those tickets are $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000. So you tell me if it's worth it. For the Alaska card, I think is $75. So for $150 and putting $4,000 spend on a couple of cards and a whole bunch of homework, is it worth it? It's worth it to me. If you don't have the patience to do it, then these programs aren't for you. If you're just going to go get the one credit card and one set of 50,000 miles and complain that you can't fly your 4-person family around the world for that 50,000 points, that's not how these programs work. If you're worried about your credit, all I can speak is from personal experience. I've never been late on a bill in my life. I've paid off mortgages, houses, whatever. I think right now my credit is 820. My credit's never dropped below 800, maybe 795 or something. And at different times, I've had 40 credit cards open. Again, I'm not telling you to do that. I know that's crazy, but that's what kind of us miles and points kind of nuts did back in the day. We would get a credit card from every bank every 90 days. It'd be like a Chase, a Bank of America, this or that, or whatever, a Citibank, boom, miles. I want miles. I want everybody's miles. That's how we were back then. I'm not recommending you do that. I don't even do that today, but I'm hyper focused on where I need to go. I know I'm retiring next year in September, I think, and I already have the miles, and I'm already searching for the flights for my business class ticket 6 months or 7 months from now. Why not? I have the miles. The earlier you book, I could book it, but I'm waiting because different reasons. Alaska program, it's great. It allows layovers. So that's why I'm waiting on my retirement trip is, I'm moving to Thailand, but rather than booking a ticket from Southern California to, I'm probably going to go to Japan, then go to Japan to Bangkok. I'd like to do a month in Japan. So I don't know how all that's going to work yet because Japan's not open with the whole health situation. So I'm holding off till I have a better idea. And you can make 2 vacations out of one. I'm not saying you have to stay there a month, but you could fly San Diego on Japan Airlines, go to Tokyo, and then stay there for 3 or 4 days, continue the voyage to wherever, Singapore, Bangkok, whatever, and that is still just one ticket. Not everybody does that, but Alaska does. So that's a value of finding out the different idiosyncrasies of the program. There's different rules on how often you can get the cards. I'm not suggesting you do like I did one time way back in the day. I think I applied and was approved for 5 Alaska cards in a 2-week period or something. And each one of those cards, was 50,000 points or whatever it was, maybe 40. And I had to put 2,000 on each one. Well, it wasn't a problem. There's different, I'm not going to say tricks. And again, we'll keep it simple. We won't get into that. But there were different ways to go buy gift cards and then resell the gift cards and on, where you could really churn those miles. You'll hear that term. I'm a churner. I'm a miles and points churner. I'm not telling you to do that. I'm just saying, keep in mind, most people out there are busy Costco runs, remodeling kitchens, teeth, engine repairs, where thousands of dollars is being spent. It just is. So you might as well be putting that spend on these silly airline cards. Mommy Points, I'll put a link to her. I've heard her speak many times. She's very good at, hey, I love listening to all these guys and their how to travel to Japan in first class. I get all that, but I've got a family of 4. We're not going to Japan anytime soon. We want to go visit Grandma in Seattle, and we want to do it for free. Or we want to go to Disney World once a year, and we want to stay at the Hyatt for free. So there are all kinds of variables. Me, I'm not going to Disneyland anytime soon. I want to know how to go to Sydney, Australia, or I'll stand up from here to New York City. I could care less about flying first class from San Diego to Atlanta, Georgia. You could put me in the baggage section. I don't care. But if I'm flying from LA to Hong Kong for 16 and a half hours, that's where I want to use my miles and points in the most comfort and luxury that I can't afford to pay. I could pay it, but I'd be stupid to pay it. I mean, I'm not a person who buys business tickets. Hey, how's it going? After I shot the video, I went back and made sure I didn't make any blatant errors, and I realized I left out some key information. So hopefully wherever I splice this in will make sense. If not, just keep watching the video and it'll all come together. When I spoke about getting, say, an Alaska Airlines credit card and putting that $2,000 spend on, one of the things I left out that is important is everybody has a shopping portal. If it's Alaska, American, United, what you want to do is don't kill yourself on this over every $10 purchase. But if you're going to Home Depot and buying a $500 stove or whatever, you want to go to Home Depot's shopping portal, Alaska Airlines, Home Depot, go to the shopping portal, Home Depot, and see what they're offering. Oftentimes it's going to be more than 1 times the points, which you would normally earn with that credit card. It might be, hey, due to the holidays, earn twice as many points. So you buy your stove online. I know it's a pain. Do it on your phone as you're standing in the store. Go to customer service, say, hey, I'm here to pick up my stove. You've now earned $1,000 or 1,000 points rather than $500 points on that $500 purchase. Again, 2 times the points is better than 1. But right now during the holidays, I know, and I'm not a big Macy's guy, but I know Macy's is offering 6 times the points. So if you're gonna go buy $1,000 of gifts at Macy's, rather than earning 1,000 points, earn 5,000 points if it's 5 times the spend on the shopping portal. You now are a customer that was sent there from Alaska, and Alaska now gives you 5 times the points. So keep a sharp lookout on those shopping portals. If it's Alaska's, United's, American's, there can be some really key values there. The other thing is, I know beginners especially are going to be worried about their points expiring. They will expire. Every program is different. Flyer Talk will list all that information, but let's assume it's a year. If you get the Alaska credit card, when you're or American or any of them, when you're using these credit cards, that counts, that starts the clock over, that counts as activity towards Alaska. Of course, flying on Alaska counts, but the credit card also will restart that clock. So if nothing else, get the card, get your points. If you're, gonna throw that card in a sock drawer, at least break it out a couple of times a year and keep those points alive. Now, if you close the credit card, well, yeah, your miles are that clock is now started on when those miles are going to expire. So don't let your miles expire. Worst case scenario is, hey, it's 2 weeks from my miles expiring, I'm not flying on Alaska, and I don't want to lose 50,000 points. You're gonna have to suck it up, go to Alaska, buy 1,000 points for $29 or whatever it is, and that'll get that clock started again for a year. But let's not let that happen. As far as annual fees, when you get a little bit more advanced in this, and now you have 6 credit cards that all have an annual fee, this is where you start getting into, do I want to keep this? Do I need this card? On and on. You can read at Flyer Talk all about calling in and trying to get the annual fee waived. Sometimes they do it, sometimes they don't. With the health situation, it was a little easier. It's like, hey, I can't travel right now. I want to keep this card, but I'm not paying, $95 for it. And they oftentimes go, you're free for another year. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Another thing I've did in the past is, say with Citibank and the American Airlines program, is you have a premium card, it's $300, you can downgrade that card to a free card. You really don't want to use that free card, but what that free card will do is, rather than having to go pay $29 and start that clock over again, if that's the only way you can earn American miles, you can use that free card, go buy a pack of gum or half a tank of gas or whatever, and you've now bought yourself another 12 months. Now keep in mind, I've made this mistake. I have 15 cards right now. 5 of them are premium cards, and the other 10 are free cards. Every now and then you'll get a letter saying, hey, we've closed your account because you haven't used this free Citibank American Airlines card in a year and a half, so we close the account. And I'm like, whoa, I didn't even realize. So what you need to do, and I know this is a bit of a pain, is you need to, let's keep it simple. Let's say you have 4 cards. You need to take those cards to the gas station at least every 6 months and use every single one of them. $5, $5, $5, $5, go home, pay it all off, and you've now used the cards, and they're not going to close the account. So one last thing is, there are also generic cards. I'll call them generic cards. They're not the Bank of America Alaska Airlines card. It's the Bank of America card, and they have transfer partners. Some of the more important ones are Chase's Ultimate Rewards, American Express membership points. Again, this is getting a little more detailed, but if you want to read about it, it's good if you can get a card in a program, say it's United, and then you can get a program, say it's Chase Ultimate Rewards, and they work together, if that makes sense. You can use, you obviously have, and I think United's a partner of Ultimate Rewards, but you'll have your Ultimate Rewards miles, say 100,000, and you'll have your United points, 100,000. You need 150,000 to do something with your United points in business class, so you take the 50 that you need and transfer them over into the United program. It also gets a little bit more detailed, and again, I'm not positive, I'm not a United guy, I'm not positive of Ultimate Rewards transfers, but that's how it works. Where it gets really valuable is Ultimate Rewards, membership rewards, whatever. They might be partners with all these different foreign airlines. And where it really gets interesting is when Ultimate Rewards, Citibank, membership rewards, they're all partners with, say, Air Nippon, a Japanese airline. So you can get those 3 different credit cards and then transfer them all into Air Nippon and fly first class or whatever. Again, I'm making up the example, but you see the value in having multiple currencies, they'll call it on Flyer Talk. I have multiple currencies, to all for the same goal. So keep that in mind. So the banks are going to have their rules on how often you can get the bonus on the card, if that's 24 months, if it's you can't get another bonus if you currently have that card open, whatever. You got to go to the wikis at Flyer Talk, figure out the program, and play by the rules. One of the hardest set of rules is through Chase. Chase was kind of the premier bank to get airline cards for years and years. And I mean, you'll have guys saying, when all these rules came down, it's called the 524 rule. You'll hear about it on Flyer Talk. Basically, you can't get more than 5 credit cards in a 24-month period from any bank. Chase doesn't care if you got a Home Depot card, a Nordstrom's card, or 10, or 5 platinum cards from American Express. They don't care. 5 cards from any bank and you're not getting a Chase card until that drops off in that 24-month period, the 524 rule. Then, even if you are at whatever, 324, you've only opened 3 cards, but they've all been Chase cards in a 24-month period, you still have to play by the Chase rules as far as, okay, you're under 524, but you already received the bonus on that card X number of months ago, 24, 48, whatever, so you can't have it again. So you really got to read about all these rules before, in your head, you just say, oh, this is easy. I'll just get these 6 cards and travel around the world in first class. It doesn't work that way. It used to work that way not that long ago. It was great, but now you kind of got to play by the rules.